Hi, Casey. This is Tim Hogbaum again, just one of the pastors on staff, and as always, this is the time of the month where I get to give you a bit of a look behind the scenes, what's going on the finances, on the events happening, and we're looking to improve and continually to adjust this to make it meaningful for you. This is again an opportunity to bring you behind the scenes. So, if you have any feedback, any thoughts on how we can do this better, what information will be relevant and helpful to you, please feel free to email me at timh@ksc.ca for any of those ideas. Again, the ideas, we know lots of things happening. It's a big church, lots of events. The question is, how can we bring you behind the scenes and what kind of information is helpful? So if you have any suggestions or thoughts, ideas, feel free to reach out. So for the month of February, as always, let's start with our finances and see where we landed. So in January, we had budget for total revenue of $132,000. We actualized $152,000. Let me say that again. We had budget for $130,000 and we actualized $152,000. Thank you. Just thank you, church. This is such good news, and I'll show you in a few minutes why that's such good news. The total expenses, we were thinking it's going to be $150,000, and actually it really was $136,000. So we were able to tighten our belt a little bit for that month and curb some of those expenses. So where we had budget to be at a total deficit, a loss for $18,000 for January, we actually saw $15,000 above net, which is a huge blessing. So where does that bring us for January year to date? That's the big question. Really, at the end of the day, that's what really matters. And so our year to date, as you know, in December, we actually saw an $80,000 dropping in than what we had expected to see for that month. And so, we were like, well, what does this mean? What do we do with that? And we just are so grateful to come out of January and just say, Lord, thank you, Lord, for providing. Thank you, church, for coming on board and for giving. Because in that month, we actually were able to offset that $30,000 that came in. We were able to push that right to the bottom line and help it with our position for the year to date. So where before we were expecting to be at $96,000, now we're actually $134,000. So church, thank you. Thank you for your contribution for January. And we're just excited to see where he continues to lead us for the rest of this year. Just in terms of the budget to giver. Now this is a budget to general. Again, when we're talking about the budget and actual, these are numbers that include both the restricted and unrestricted funds. So the restricted funds are community care, are the building campaign, those kinds of restricted funds are earmarked for a specific purpose because you've given to a specific purpose. The unrestricted funds, that's the general funds to turn the lights on and to take the garbage out and to clean the carpets and things like that. So those numbers kind of get fluctuated. Those numbers often get put together, but we really just want to focus on the general because that really shows us what the day-to-day operations cost us. So when we're looking just at general, we had budget in total for $975,000 this year, and we actually have seen $891,000 come into general this year, which is about an $84,000 difference. So church, thank you for just partnering with us, for stepping up, for coming alongside the vision of what we're doing. The vision is way too big. Chris has often said, we'd rather have a big vision than to have lots of funds in the bank with no vision. And so the vision is big and we need you to partner. So thank you for doing just that for the month of January. And so as we look forward, we're excited to see where he leads us because our vision is that big and he's been faithful to provide. So church, thank you for that. Church, as we're going into our new season of our strategic objectives, we've spent the last months talking about those very things. So we've talked about formation and we talked about missions. We've talked about community, about revive and renewal, and we've talked about leadership development. And so as we've been preaching through the strategic objectives and kind of where we're going as a church, what we're realizing as a staff is the leadership development piece is very, very important. In fact, none of these things can happen unless we actually have a strong leadership development. And so we as a staff have been thinking about that. And as we've gone through the strategic objectives and all these things that we're excited about happening, we need to partner with us in those things, and partner by way of giving your talent, time, and treasure into these things. Our job on staff is to I see in you, to find out where people can fit and to bring them along, because the vision is much bigger than what we can do as a staff. And in fact, our job really is to equip and empower the saints for them to do the work and for us to partner together in this journey. So staff, or rather congregation, I just want to reach out that if you have gifts and talents and skills, where do you contribute into this? What does it look like for you to be part of the kingdom work? Where does the kingdom need you and your talents and gifts? So think about that. Think about your involvement, because it's so important and we need you. And if you see yourself being able to plug into different areas, if you see needs are there, pray about it, think about it, consider it, and go online to our serve page, which allows us to really bring you into all the needs that we have as a church. So church, partner with us in that. This month, we also had Kristie Harper Mountain. And it's one of those times where, this is our second annual event. It's one of those times where we have everything from children to the not so children all together in the same room doing the same thing. I love this picture because all demographics are represented here, and that's so amazing. It was our second annual run at it. And it really was just a moment for all of us to get together. And one of the pieces of feedback really was, at the end of the day, we all got together in the lodge and hung out. And again, that is just a great representation. We have 213 people showing up and just hanging out in the lodge after being outside for the day. So church, thanks for coming alongside. We need to continue to gather. We need to be able to come together in the community. It's one of the strategic objectives. Our community is so important. This is one of those spaces and places where we need to intentionally lean into as well. So we also had the Indigenous Connections Gathering Circle. And coming out of that, we as a church there was excitement around the idea of what do we do to come alongside this? This was some genuine enthusiasm and wanting to get involved. At the same time, really just wondering, what does that look like? What do we as a church, there's some education needs to happen to how we can come alongside and help and assist in making the gospel known in this space. So church, things are happening in missions, in community, in leadership development. So we're going to keep moving in those 5 strategic objectives. Thanks for coming on board and being with us. As always, once a month, I just want to sit down and with one of our staff and bring you in behind the scenes what they do and what their role is. And so I just want to bring you into a conversation with Kristie and I, explaining what her role is, what she does in the church, and even how you can come alongside and support in the work that she does. Hi, Casey. This is Tim again, and yeah, this is one of those moments I really do get to, I look forward to, because I get the chance to have a discussion. I get to share with you what I know every day, but maybe what you don't. And so today's conversation is with Kristie. And Kristie, you've been here for so long. It's been great. I love working with you. Tell us, how long you been here? How long you been at this church? What got you here?
I actually came to KAC because they had a really great kids program. So I came here for Women's Ministry Daybreak. I had young kids at the time, and a friend of mine was coming here, and they're like, oh, you have like the best childcare. They have the best childcare here. So, being a new mom, that just kind of led me here. I really wanted to connect with other women, so I came here for that. And then just, I also joined a life group, Jen and Trevor Brown, and then Jen was looking for a finance assistant about 3 years ago, and she said, hey, Kristie, you do books at Earl's, why don't you come here? So yeah, that's how I started.
And you have a long history at Earl's, don't you? Like, that's part of a huge part of your world, isn't it?
Yeah, I've been working at Earl's for about 20 years. Started off as like a hostess and moved my way up into management, and yeah, so I've always dabbled in both the book end at Earl's, like doing their finances and then also doing managing and the day floor. Yeah.
So totally off script for a moment, but like, what is the one or two top things that you took away from Earl's, or do take away from Earl's, that they take with you?
One or two? There's so many great things. There's really great leadership there that I love. Definitely my two things. I think when I train new leaders, I think this kind of sums it up, is people don't care how much you know. And I know that was a line that got you, until they know how much you care. So I just love that kind of customer service, really, focus on the people. And also don't expect but inspect. That was like a great learning skill that I learned.
What role? And the reason I asked that, because I know it affects your role now. So maybe, what is your role now? What do you do? What takes up your time when you're here at the office?
Well, right now I've kind of started a new role, probably in October, and that was kind of bookings. And so currently, people will call in wanting to use a room in the church, and I try to find a spot for them and just make sure they have all the things that they need, the room setup and tech if they need it. So just coordinating a lot, that's what I do now. And then I also help Jen in the finance department.
When we were sitting down talking about this role originally, you used a line, and I love the line, and I want you to say it because I think it's such an amazing line. But expand on that line, and why is it important?
Well, I remember when you were interviewing, you're kind of like just saying, hey, we're looking at someone to do the bookings. And I was like, okay, so what does that really entail? And I was like, what's the philosophy of the church? Like, what is the philosophy of the facility? Because I was trying to find out what exactly you were wanting from me and what you needed. And so that was kind of like, what do we want to do in this building? Because I think everything kind of, when you have like a central focus, like, I mean, I know KC is to make Jesus known, and just everything kind of stems from that. So I kind of wanted to know, what is the philosophy of the church? How do they want, like, how does the building play a part? So that was kind of what I was hoping to get.
Which we didn't have an answer for, which I said to you was, that is an amazing question. What is the philosophy of the building? And I think as you're doing this role, you're sussing out what that is. And I think, what have you figured out? What in your mind, what is that starting to turn into or crystallize into?
Well, I think this is where Earls is really playing a part, is that, at Earls, we just try to make sure, the building is kind of that first impression. It's what people walk into. Is it warm and friendly? Is it clean? Is it inviting? Is it kind of like welcoming you in? Or is it like, it's not that kind of warm, friendly? So I think I'm really trying to take what I've learned at Earls, creating that warm, friendly environment, and bring it here, and just to make sure, hey, we're here to help. How can we help you? How can we make your experience better? What can we do to serve you? So I think that's kind of what my philosophy is, kind of where I'm shaping my philosophy.
And part of this idea is that the building itself is a ministry. And so we actually have a lot of people that enter our building for a myriad of different reasons, third-party groups, funerals, weddings. It's actually a touch point to share the gospel in a very meaningful way on a very consistent basis. And I think it's exciting to see our building start to expand what it's doing and how it's serving. So it absolutely serves to support the ministries that we have here. At the same time, it's also being an outreach in and of itself.
Absolutely. Like, so many groups like that I deal with personally, a lot of them don't go to church, or like, I have one group right now that, they're just like, oh, it's just so nice. You guys are so friendly. You're so inviting. Your space is so warm. And I mean, they don't know God, but it's just to offer that for someone is such a blessing. And I've even had people, when they've come in, ask me questions like, what do you do here? Like, and it's just, it just opens up an opportunity for people to know that the church is a warm and inviting place, and it doesn't have to be intimidating. So that's how I'm approaching it.
You're brand new to the role. You took it over for the great Bauhaus himself.
Yes.
And I think, what are some of the challenges that you're facing in that role at the moment?
Not having enough time. I wish I could. I have so many dreams and visions for the role. So like rooms that I would love to be more more warm, more inviting. So there's goals of like creating more spaces that people can do. I know a lot of people are like, we want space, and I just do not have it. Also, just when a group comes in, we're still struggling. We can't always set up a room. So having teams that can help with setup and takedown, people don't realize like it takes a lot to set up tables and chairs and to make sure areas are vacuumed and clean, that the bathrooms are ready to go. Steve, who is our facility manager, I'm constantly having to help because there's just too much. And we love to have these events and we want to do them well, but they take a while to set up and take down. Also, I have a large role in memorials, and I feel like for that, on such an important day, they need someone to kind of help the family and to be here. And so I would love to have people that could help with memorials, just, warm, friendly people that can just help the family, guide them around our church and just meet whatever needs that they have.
And I think you're absolutely right. There's a key part here where we want to come alongside,
Yeah.
especially memorials or actually any major event really, and be what we call the facility host, right? And I think that's a new role we're trying to develop, which really is an invitation to our congregation to say, this is a role that is a volunteer role where you're able to help facilitate these very meaningful conversations and help guide, work with people in the building. Mm-hmm. What is it that person, who are those kind of people? What are you looking for in those kind of people? Because some of us may not even know what a facility host really is. And so I don't know if I fit that role. So to those people who might be thinking about, is that me or can I help somehow? What are we looking for? What are you looking for in those people?
I'm looking for someone who's like warm, friendly, inviting. I always just want them to go, what would I need? So just looking for someone who is just welcoming. Anyone who's good at hospitality, that would be an excellent role. Someone who can anticipate someone's needs and look, and who has empathy and care and who loves to help out. Anyone that has a desire to serve and help and just be in the background and just look and see. I find sometimes it's they're the people, I remember someone telling me, they're the people that will pick up the napkin on the floor. Everyone else walks by it, but they're the one who sees a napkin and picks it up on the floor. So I'm looking for people who pick up the napkin off the floor, who see the garbage, or who see, that person needs a tissue in that moment, or who might just need a hug or might need a glass of water. So they're the ones who just go unnoticed. They're in the background and just making things happen.
And we're benefiting from your training at Earl's, because I think that's one of the things that you're doing. I mean, that's one of your roles that you had at Earl's, is actually to train those people. So I think for those people who may not be certain or uncertain if they would fit that role, I think maybe a comment to them would be like, hey, we actually know how to train you so that you don't feel like you're having to do it all on your own. And I think that's part of our job, is to be able to set them up for success, to be able to do what needs to be done in a building that's as busy as it is.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
How can we pray for you?
Well, just pray for me to have wisdom, just wisdom on how to approach this role. And also just that I will, right now I get so busy sometimes I forget that Jesus needs to be my center. So yeah, I really want to make sure that I just do not lose focus on the reason why we're all here and the priority that Jesus needs to be my center, and everything else can fit into that. So that's where I'm at right now.
Kristie, I've been fortunate enough to see you evolve and just grow as to more an integral part of our staff.
Thanks.
And I, on behalf of staff, just thank you for all your wisdom and everything you put into it. You put everything and then some into the role you do. And it's such a gift to have you on staff. We as a church are better off because you're here. The kingdom is better off because you've got your heart in it. So thank you for everything you do. Thank you for your diligence, your care. You're a gift. So appreciate you.
Tim.
Thanks a lot, Kristie.
Oh, you're welcome.
Kristie's absolutely amazing to have on staff. It is such a gift as she uses her leadership skills to really bring along and develop leaders. So if there is any interest, please prayerfully consider if you can help with our facility. It is a ministry opportunity unto itself because you get to meet with people who really a lot of times are in times of need. And so you're able to minister and speak to them about the love of Jesus. Finally, we have a very, very critical role that we're trying to fill. We have been tasked with stewarding our resources well in this church. And church, we have been blessed. We have been blessed with a beautiful building, with a staff that's here that is committed to the work, to managing our finances, making sure all those things are in order. But to do that, there's some key roles, and this is one of those key roles. And so we're looking for the director of finance and operations. And this key role really is a senior level role which has oversight over our finances and ensures that we are doing our due diligence, that we're following procedures to ensure that we're stewarding as well. And so if you are a person who loves spreadsheets, I mean, you just absolutely live and thrive in spreadsheets. That's my world. I love it. I can do anything in a spreadsheet I need to. Spreadsheets are a beautiful gift. If you are that kind of person and you are one of those people who wants to really be able to say, that is a gift I have and I want to use it, prayerfully consider if this role is appropriate for you. Or maybe somebody in your circle that could do this role. Please pray for this role. It's a critical role we want to fill, but we want to fill with the right person. And so as Jen is on to her new mission and we just bless her and release her and so grateful she can go and do her new missions work, at the same time, God is calling somebody else here to an assignment here. So as Jen is off to a new assignment somewhere else, God's preparing that person for assignment to coming here. And so pray for us, pray that we find that individual, and pray that maybe if it is you or someone that you know would fill that role well, have them reach out to me at timh@kac.ca. Church, thanks for tuning in again. And again, as I opened up in the beginning, if you have any suggestions or you have any thoughts, how we could do these moments together better, please email me and let me know. Thank you for tuning in. We'll talk next time.